And this means freedom, self-awareness, expression. And this to me means you can be more than one thing. I'm Jasmine Bowdry, and you're listening to And This Podcast. We're seeing a lot of product-based businesses shut down right now, and I just want to talk about it. Like, can I be real? Can we talk? Can we have a conversation? Your fears are very valid. A lot of product-based businesses are closing right now, but that doesn't have to be you, because I'm going to give you the cheat code of what I would have done differently. And this is speaking from someone that closed their product-based business. So I'm going to give you some lessons that I learned that if I were to start my product-based business again, this is what I would do differently. So the first thing, and this isn't in any particular order, the first thing I would have done was stay behind the scenes. So I know that the gurus like to say, you need to be the face, you need to be front and center, but I literally would have stayed behind the scenes because it put so much pressure on me to always have to show up. And in the event that I did not feel like showing up, if I didn't have the energy to show up, or if I didn't have the capacity to show up, then my business wasn't going to succeed because I was the face and I always had to show up in order to make a sale. So the first thing that I would have done is to stay behind the scenes. Let me give you an example of what staying behind the scenes looks like. I wouldn't be the one doing all the photo shoots. I wouldn't be the model. I had a clothing boutique. I would not be the model, right? Do I look cute? Yes, thank you. But I would not always be the face. I would not always be the one that's in the product shots, that's modeling the clothes, because what happens is your customers then get used to that. Your audience gets used to that. They get used to seeing things on your particular shape, your body type. And if they can't envision that outfit because it's not on you, they're not going to purchase. So if you have a product brand and you are currently the face, start trying to take some steps back. Start testing what using another model would look like. Start testing lifestyle products and lifestyle. Start testing lifestyle shots and not always using yourself. Start testing stock images. Start testing AI images. I just want you to test. Get into the flow of training your audience to see different people, to not always see you as the brand just because you're the founder. And the type of freedom that not being front and center gives you is the ability to move into other things that you love. Perhaps you wanted to get into speaking and do more speaking engagements as a founder, but you can't because you have to be the face of the photo shoot. You're not preparing your business for growth. You're assuming that it's going to always stay small because you're always the one doing every single thing. So you're not preparing for potentially an acquisition. You're not preparing for potentially having an exit strategy. You're not preparing to bring in another CEO so you can replace yourself. You're not preparing for all of the growth opportunities that you created the business for because you're still working in the business versus on the business. Like you just mentioned how there are about to be so many Christian artists going on tour and you are starting a new brand. So you like, hey, I need to be there. I think new entrepreneurs actually I would say probably more seasoned entrepreneurs than newer ones. It's like, stop thinking you're too good to go back to the basics. Like, stop thinking you're too good to go back to those old school ways of marketing. Like back in the day, we used to call it pumping the pavement. Like, I'm going to pass out these flyers.
I'm telling you.
It's in the trunk. Like, stop thinking that you're too good to get out in front of your people.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, I think we've gotten so accustomed to everything being so digitized and us being behind phones and computers, and we've made it so easy that we forget, like, there are methods that still work. You know, you vended at Essence Fest, I vended at Essence Fest, and we've had amazing success because we are in front
100%
of our customers. We are there. We are in the weeds,
100%.
right? So I didn't want to skip over that because I feel like that's super important for people to understand. Like, sometimes you got to get out.
Got to get from behind that phone. Get from, like, the greatest the greatest review you can get is right in person with your customer. Oh, I love this. Oh, I hate that. Oh, this color is kind of, you hear everything.
Yep.
It's literally right in front of you. When I pull up a hoodie, oh, the color is like cool, or like they'll give you immediate response whether they're buying or not. And that's the best data you can have, because on social, everybody's like, oh, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. This is cool, but no one's buying.
Nobody bought it.
They don't really love that, but you didn't get in front of them, and they've never seen. My favorite customers want to be like, oh, I saw you at Essence Fest last year, and I came back this year to see if you were there. My favorite customer, because and you're the owner, you still work your booths? Yeah, because I need to see what my community is saying. Somebody that I hire to bring on won't give the same reaction as they're going to give me. And I know that. And so I don't mind going out there and working for a few. I might not work the whole day, but I'll work a few hours and I'll move some bins and boxes, because at the end of the day, I'm going to make more money doing that than the person who's just like trying to tweet or Instagram post. Like, I'm going to actually go get the money. And I'm the best salesman for my brand because it's mine. So I'm a champion. I'm going to make you buy more than one shirt. Oh man, you only get one. So you said you like this one. All right, you know what? I can work out a deal for you. Let me do two I can make those decisions. And it builds a long lasting relationship with a customer who didn't know me before they walked up to the booth.
I can speak on this from a retailer side. Typically, in moments in which retailers aren't feeling like the economy is doing well, they start to revert back to the basics. So they start reverting back to those tried and true brands that they know that can get the job done, that can deliver on the margin and profitability that they're asking for, and that they know that can execute. And oftentimes, many of us small brands just don't fit that list yet, right? And so you're starting to see many retailers start to pull back on either their support of small brands, truly in not because they don't want to support for malicious reasons, but because they also have goals that they have to meet to their shareholders, right? You also saw maybe 3 to 4 years ago, the investment landscape was up. So you was seeing everybody post about, you know, here's the $1 million that I got, the $2 million that I got. I'm one of the, you know, and I shouldn't say up, because let's be clear, it's less than like 1% of all investment goes to Black women. But in comparison, it felt like a lot of people were getting investment, right? But once you get invested in, you have to always think about like, what's that next round going to look like? And so people were kind of running through cash at that same rate, supporting the sales that they had before, not expecting a slowdown, and then not also expecting the landscape to change to make it even harder to get money, because the goalpost had moved. Originally, it was forget about profitability. We're only chasing sales. So brands forgot about profitability and chased those sales. Now it's, what do you mean you don't have profitability? And so people have had to pivot, right? And so that's hard. That's harder for brands that have been on that journey for a while to be able to make that pivot. And maybe your company isn't structured in a way to do so. I think the brands that will survive are the brands that are being really scrappy around their metrics, that are having to make some really tough decisions. I know quite a few of my peers have had to let go of their teams in the same way that you're seeing these big retailers do so. And also just not chasing growth. They're chasing survival in this moment. And that can be really hard for a lot of us overachieving entrepreneurs that are used to winning, right? Especially you just came off several years of up,
right?
And now you're going through some downtimes. And so I think that the best brands are the ones that can like ride that wave and understand that like the goal is to get to tomorrow, is not to like necessarily overexceed. It's just, I tell my team, whoever has cash at the end of the year gets to play again next year. And so that's how I look at it.
The retail buyers are the decision makers. It's important to understand this because you need to understand what they're looking for, how they're thinking about their business, how they're thinking about growing their business. The retail buyer is responsible for the P&L, the profit and loss of that particular category. And then that rolls up into a total company number that then gets reported out. And so they have shareholders that they need to answer to. They have, you know, big bosses that they need to answer to. And so when they are thinking about what products and what brands are going to satisfy a gap in my current product assortment, that's where you come in. And so some things you want to think about when it comes to mass retail is, what is your overall vision as a product brand? Is your overall vision to eventually exit, get acquired, or sell? Because if it is, and you're a product-based business specifically, chances are you're going to need to go the retail route, the mass retail route, in order to get a higher valuation with your acquisition. Those are just the facts. Now, I'm not saying that you can't be an e-commerce only brand that does not get acquired or eventually exits. However, we have brands like Mael Organics, Shea Moisture, Bevel, Honey Pot, Drunk Elephant, and a slew of others that have made multi-millions from exiting their product business. And they did that because they were in retail. They were across several different retail distribution. They were across several different retailers and expanded their distribution. So when you're thinking about your overall vision, and if you have a number in mind, and if that's a high number, then going through retail is probably the route you're going to have to take. And so you want to think about that. You want to think, is going into retail something that aligns with the goals that you have for your business? If it is not, if you're like, hey, I just want to stay small, I'm not trying to sell, I'm not trying to get acquired, or whatever the case may be, then this particular way to go about expanding your business may not be what's best for you.